Screen. Which screen am I sharing? Okay, so you should see Gmail, right? Okay. All right, so what I did for this is I did a copy of my, where's it? Goodness, I'm not even on the right section. Here it is. I did a copy of my my dashboard. So you could kind of see how I use the dashboard without all of my, client crap being on it. So I'll just kind of go through each step of it and show you what it looks like. So a lot of you know that I was using Monday before. I was using Monday.com, and I used it for 4 years, and I really like it. And the reason is I am just like a checklist person, and it does really well with checklists and also with customization. But there is sort of a cap on the customization. So in all of these little sections here that I was using on Monday, it would tap out at about 25, and Airtable is unlimited, which is great. So for things like with judges, there's way more than 25 judges in Georgia, and I wanted everybody to be able to fit on there. The other really good thing about Airtable versus Monday is I can put most everything into one board. So all of these tabs that you see across the top, they were separate boards on Monday, and now they're just in one. So that was a huge appeal to me. It also has a native sync with Google that we'll talk about later. So essentially, this is my practice management system. This is what I use to kind of keep track of everything, look at my data, look at my KPIs. So I took my real dashboard and I copied it over and deleted a whole bunch of cases, and just so you can kind of see how everything can sort out the way I want it. So normally when I'm looking at it, I'll probably use just the alpha group, or I sort by that, but you can just do views by pretty much anything. So if I want to look at or have them grouped by county, sometimes I like to group by who's the plaintiff and who's the defendant. This is by case stage, so it helps me sort of get an idea of which cases are in which stages at what time, and it helps with batch tasking. For example, if I just want to quickly see who needs an answer or who needs to be served, I can just click on that particular view and it's there. So you can see all the different views that I have. So that's another great thing about it. It's totally unlimited. So all of these are grid views, but you can also create other things. You can create a form from anything that's in Airtable. You can do a calendar, you can do a gallery, Kanban, timeline, list, or Gantt. I use none of those because I'm just not that advanced, and I like the spreadsheet method. So this gets really long going across, so I don't normally look at it that way. If I'm focusing on one case, like this particular case, if I want to look at it in more detail or at once, I can just click on it and look at it vertically. I've also created an interface that allows me to do that, which is here, the client info board. So, and this is editable from this screen as well. So this essentially is a dashboard where you can pull a whole bunch of data together in one sort of easy to read format. So I really like this when I'm doing my case reviews. I just go down each case and look at everything. Has colors, it's pretty, but it kind of shows me what I have to do. And in this case is pretty much headed to trial, so there really isn't anything left to do except go to trial. So this just lets me know what do I have to do to finish up the case. As a marital balance sheet, I need to draft all of these documents that say needs updating. That's what I need to do. But all of the information about the case is at the fingertips: when it was filed, that service was perfected, the date of service, just things that if someone asks you questions on a fly, you're not going to remember, but it's on here. Judge, all of these things. So this is just a dashboard that you create, and it just pulls from the data. So I think it's really cool. So going back to the board, let's see. Another thing I like about this that you couldn't really do in Monday is you can vary the row height. When I want to look at all of the data at once, obviously short is the way to do it. If I just kind of want to look at one or two at a time, then you can vary the row height however you want. You can also share and sync any board. So you can sync this data to another base. You can embed the view, create a link to view, and I'll show you the link. I'll show you what I share with my clients. But essentially, if you want someone to be able to view your data and not edit it, it's super, super easy to do. All right, so I talked about all that. Okay, so my next module that I'll talk about is super easy, which is client payments. So there's two other columns here, which I hid, which are the names of the clients. So, but this has all the information about all the payments that I received and how I received them. And probably most of you know that I'm not hourly on flat fee, so I don't have to keep track of retainer accounts or anything like that. But all the data is in here. And another good thing about Airtable is it's basically a spreadsheet on steroids. So it was really easy to get information in or out, which I like, because if next year I find something I like better, I want to be able to get my data into that new system super easy. So with Monday, the transition from Monday to Airtable was very, very easy because I exported it in Excel. You just drag and drop it over here, and it was super easy. So this is where I include all of the payments. And then going back to the dashboard, this part I did not do myself. This part I hired a guy on Fiverr, and he took like 15 minutes, and and it's good to go. So these are the data points that I want to look at. I'm probably going to add some more, but when I was setting this up a couple of months ago, this is the stuff that I kind of wanted to see at a glance. So I think all my numbers aren't in here, but I think maybe this represents like 2.5 years or something like that. But anyway, but I like to see charts of yearly income, monthly, average monthly income, and this shows monthly across the board. And you can put whatever you want at the top in the drop-down menu, but these are the things that I would look at most often. For example, I already know that I make more money on divorces with kids than any other type of case. And I wish that wasn't the case because those are the most stressful. But it's, a good data point to have. So you can just kind of pick whichever case type you want, and you can do it by month. Most of you probably recognize what these 4 boxes are. I use profit first, and my numbers, my percentages are different from what he recommends, but I use the same concept. So at the end of each month, then I can just see how much I need to transfer into each of these accounts. So that's all done. But he probably took about 15 minutes to get this dashboard together, and it's pretty much unlimited. So whatever data you put in there, you can get it out in a really, really sort of easy to read format. So I've really loved this part. Something else that I do based on the data that's in the status board, which is this. This is the status board, and then the interfaces or the dashboards that I've done with that, these are a couple of them. So this lets me know where my case spread is in terms of the counties that I have, the types of case that I have, how long the case is open, and also which cases are in which stages. A lot of my cases sort of sit in the post-answer discovery period for a while, and I'm trying to figure out how to shorten that period. Then I also like to look at how many cases I've opened per month. I'll probably do one next to it that says closed per month. But those are the things that I'm interested in, the data that I'm interested in seeing. So that's why it's there. And there's not much data there because this is a demo and I deleted most of my files. So probably there's nothing in, oh, there is something closed. So I do have a closed one as well. So this also lets me know kind of where my case spread is, where my county spread is, the type of cases that I'm doing. And the reason I'm doing this is that I've never worked with like a financial person or like an individual financial coach before, but they're going to look at all this data and kind of give me metrics on which cases make me the most money, which I already know, which is divorces with children. But what I also want to know is how long are those cases taking? So I can figure out, yes, overall I'm making more money, but am I making less money per month than I would, for example, on a divorce without children, where I can skip a lot of the crap and just, get some documents, go to mediation, because we don't have to deal with, feelings and kids and stuff. So that's something that I'm working on, but this will allow that person to kind of, gather all of that data. Okay, so back to the board. So that's the first tab. We talked about the client payments. Do I want to do tasks next? Yeah, let's do tasks. So this is pretty much how I run my firm, are tasks. Everything is task-based. These are all the things. This is, I think, an older copy. So these are all the things presumably I would do today. And these other views are the things that Krista would have to do. And then I just sort it by the things I need to do first, things I need to do second. And like I said, this is super customizable in terms of where everything is. So it's really easy to view at a glance where everything is going, because I just really don't like emails going back and forth. You know, what's going on with this? What's going on with this? What's going on with this? All of that information is going to be in this task board. So a way to make that even easier is I did a Zoom call with Laura Nelson, who does Airtable, and did it really, really well. So I thought I was doing it really well until I talked to her, and I was missing so many of the features. So she uses something called, and so do I now, apply.io, which I had never heard of, but I will put in the chat. But it's essentially you are building little automations, and it sort of stitches programs together. So it's sort of like Zapier, but better. So these up top are just things that I can click on to do things. So for example, if I want to create myself a task, I just click on it and it's going to put all the data in there. Oh gosh, of course there's an error because I'm not in the real one. Hold on a second. Okay, so I'm in the demo one now. So I will click on a task for me and then enters the task. So I just have to put what I'm doing, and then the actual name of the case, which I won't click on because you'll see the case names, and it just pops up right there. So I also have it synced with my Gmail account. So I'm going to put my email in the chat, and if you all, a couple of you can just send me some email so I can show you how quickly it works. Edwards.com. I got this many emails in 5 minutes, so I'm going to clear this out. I cheat to get to inbox 0. I just put everything in completed and then go back and look at it later. So what this will do is from the email, I can either create a task or I can also do a time entry. So while I'm waiting for emails to come in, I'm hopefully somebody's emailing me. I will go and show you what the time looks like. And yep, this is the demo. So I automatically am able to track all of my emails. So that's being done with Zapier. So Zapier is combing Gmail or Google Workspace, and it's pulling all of my emails into here, and it's automatically billing 0.2 for them. Obviously, a lot of this stuff is not going to be billable, so I just periodically have to go in there and delete what I need to delete. But other than that, like for example, this is an email that just came in, it's automatically going to bill it at 0.2. Let's see. The same thing with website upload. So I have a folder that pretty much any attachment that comes into the office, anything that, let me go to the demo one for this. Any attachments that come in, anything from opposing counsel, it automatically gets shoved into what probably is called a clusterfuck file, is what I really call it. So once it goes into the clusterfuck file, then my paralegal will go in and rename each document, and then this sort of maps that out. So this is the sync, and it's not live because this is the demo, but you can sync it with Google Drive, and everything is mapped right here. So I have an automation that's created in Airtable. So when I do anything, and I'll just do it for this, it will automatically essentially bill for it. So when I'm going through that folder and I need to tell my team what to do, this is me telling them what to do. This needs to be moved into the client folder, and it needs to be uploaded to Clinked, which is the portal that we use. So that's just a signal to them of what to do, and then they go ahead and do it. But on my end, what it does is, a second, I'll have to go to the real one for this. Okay, it will or should, let's see, unassigned time. Yep, there it is. So this is the one that I just did, and I have it coded to say received and reviewed, whatever the thing is, and then it bills it at 0.2. So obviously at some point I have to go through and sort of clean up this data in terms of I have to delete the things that I'm not trying to bill for. But on this end, all I have to do is click the plus button and I enter the case name and that's it. So at this point, it's really saved me from a lot because I don't like to keep track of my time because I'm not billing hourly anyway. So I'm really, keeping track of it just to in case there's a contempt or in case I need to account for my time hourly in order to get fees from the other side, which happens in about 2% of cases. So it's sort of eliminated all of that because really everything that happens is there's either going to be an email documenting it or a document documenting it. So it's just sort of automatically tracked and just makes it a lot easier later on when we have to sort of account for our time. Let's see what else. Okay, so this is a live link. So this is a link to the Lawyer on the Beach folder. So I have it sorted by folder. So what I do like about it is if you're just looking at something on Windows, you kind of have to click in each folder to see what the heck is in each folder. And this tells you exactly what's in each folder. And you can see the thumbnails. And when you make it bigger, you can really kind of see what's in each folder, but you can sort it sort of any way that you want. And it's all clickable. So you can hit open in Google Drive, or I think it posts the link here as well. So for each case, and I'll show you my case plan as well, I have it done like this. So it's very easy for me to just go to this folder for each case and just sort of see everything that's in there. And it's super helpful for discovery because when I get to discovery, I have a gazillion folders because I like it to be very specific. So for example, I'll have discovery for the wife and I'll have bank accounts, and then that will have several folders. And I have tax returns, and then that'll have several folders. So instead of sort of clicking in each one to figure out sort of what's there, it's just sort of a bird's eye view of everything. And of course, this is completely searchable as well. So the search button up here, you can click for something and it'll take you right to it. So I do find it super helpful when I'm sort of looking for something. That I don't have to kind of go into each folder to look for it. What else? I did that. Oh, I need to let some people in the waiting room in. Okay, so we'll talk now about this is the case plan that I have. So I did a case plan in Google Sheets and Excel, and a lot of you purchased it, and you can pretty much use it however you want. It's customizable by each state. But what I did is I basically imported that into Airtable, which was much easier than I thought it was going to be. The only thing that I really couldn't get in there was my marital balance sheet and the discovery because there was just way too many automations on that. But everything else that's related to the client is in here. So I have several different case plans. I usually use family law with children, family law without children. I'm a guardian, so there's a guardian case plan, but I just save the template. And then when I want to create a new file, I just copy it and then just go from there. So this first section here is this is what the client sees. So this is the client update. I have the county, the case number, the judge's name. I put what the update is, and it automatically will tell you when the last modified is. And then here are the steps that I can just click on to say what the case status is. So I have an automation on here when anytime status of case is updated or this first box is updated, they get an email. And in addition to that, this is embeddable. So I have embedded this with HTML code on my client's portal. So when they go to their homepage, this is one of the things that they see. So it just makes it easier to update kind of the firm in terms of what's going on, and the client is getting the same update simultaneously without us having to do extra work. So it's another reason I really, really love Airtable. So this is the first tab of the case plan, and the rest of this is really just checklists. So these are all the things that I need to do to onboard a case. These are all the issues that typically come up in a divorce. So these are the standard issues. Obviously, each case is going to have additional issues, like if there's a special needs child or there's a trust or a small business, whatever, it just gets added to the list. And the reason I do this is it kind of helps me focus in when I am propounding discovery or when I'm responding to discovery to kind of, make sure that I'm laser focused. Because obviously, if I'm flat fee, there's just a huge incentive for me to be efficient. So I don't need a whole bunch of crap that's really not related to my case. So when I have the issue sort of narrowed down and in my face all the time, I can constantly refer back to it. Is this something that we really need to explore? Is this a rabbit hole we really need to go down? Or is this something that we just really don't need to do? This is the checklist for all the initial documents we need to file a case. This is a checklist for discovery. So when we receive discovery requests, we just kind of add all the dates in here, and this syncs with Google Calendar. So it also pops up on my Google Calendar, which is what I use. But it just keeps track of absolutely everything regarding discovery. So I can just look at this one board and I can see when the request came in, when we sent them to the client, when the client's supposed to get them back to us, when we sent them to the opposing counsel, and I'll have the link for the Dropbox, how I send it to opposing counsel. So it's just sort of a one-stop shop to see where the status of discovery is. This is my mediation prep section, and I just go through, and when I finish a task, I just kind of click it off. So a lot of people that are using Clio, Practice Panther, any of the practice management systems, you have workflows. I don't really use workflows, but it's kind of the same thing. So when you use workflows, a lot of time you are creating tasks and it's automatically kind of assigning them to a date. So if you find out a trial is on X date, you're putting in a bunch of tasks which have to be by certain dates that you've coded in automatically. I just personally find that to be a little cumbersome. So I would just prefer to have all of the tasks listed in one place, and then I can just go down and click when they're done. And automatically updates when it's done, and you can add notes, links, whatever, but it's just all here as opposed to kind of spread out a little bit. This is mediation prep. Trial prep looks really similar to mediation prep. The pleadings, I sync with the client's case in order to get it synced. So yes, I did do this one because I hid most of the stuff. So this is what the client's case looks like on Google Drive, and it's automatically synced in here. So it's just a really easy way to kind of figure out what we have and what we don't have. But this essentially is the entire snapshot of what's going on in my client's case at any given time. I also use this for my exhibit list. Probably should put some stuff in here, but so obviously this is all completely customizable, but and it's also in one of the other boards that I have, but it's very easy to print this or just export it and send it to somebody. So when I'm prepping for trial, I have my exhibits in here. I either send the link or send the PDF directly to opposing counsel from here, and it just kind of stays here. And then I also have a board for witnesses. So basically it's just a lot of data, everything about the client just in one section. So Trevor asked, do you have a case plan base for each client? And the answer is yes. So this was for one particular client. I just copied it over, but every single thing is in here. So when I'm getting ready to go to trial, it's just very easy to kind of click through and go through all the steps to make sure that we've done everything. I'll have the pleadings module here where all the pleadings are outlined, and there's notes on the pleadings to kind of give me an overview of what's in the document without me having to read it again. My exhibits are here. My witness list is here. It's all in one section. All right, any questions on the case plan? So I'll show you where is onboarding. So this is another board that I have within Airtable, and it's just really just another checklist. But I'm onboarding a new person on Monday. So these are all of the things that I would need her to do and all the things that I need to do. So these are all the things that I need to do, which is a lot this weekend. And these are all the things that she needs to do. So I have it grouped by what section it is, and I'll probably just have her go section by section and just sort of check it off. But everything has links attached to it, and then she can check when things are done. So I think it's a pretty easy way to sort of onboard somebody, because she's basically going to be looking at each row, clicking on a link, watching a video, and then checking it off when she's done. And then because everybody has access to it at any point, if she needs to go back to reference anything, the board is here for her to reference. Oh, I need to check my email, see if anybody sent me anything. Oh, great. Y'all sent me some emails. Okay, so I will, hopefully they will be where they are supposed to be. Yes, so these are the outstanding emails that have come in the last like 5 minutes. So these all automatically have been tracked. And as point two, anything that is irrelevant, I just go ahead and delete it from here. But obviously I feel like it's easier to delete than to add things. And I'd rather have too much in here than less. So this is just a very filtered view of, all the emails that have come in recently. If I clicked on 2023, you'd see everything. But I like to have these views because it makes it easier to kind of digest. So when I want to just organize the emails that have just come in, then I would go here, put in the case name, and then I click done, and it filters it out of this view. So that's how I know that it's just completely taken out of the equation. So I like to get this down to 0 pretty easy. This is also kind of my inbox 0 thing, but it's pretty automatic in terms of, the emails that you guys are sending. They come in here probably within 4 or 5 minutes, and that's with a Zapier integration. All right, let me look at some of the questions. The checkboxes, they are useless for manipulating data from Clio. Yes, you can easily sort by check or no check. So this is not only sort, but this is filtered by the fact that I haven't clicked done. So this particular view is outstanding emails only. So once I click this, it filters out of this view and I don't see anymore, but it would be in a different view. But you can filter by anything. So it is very helpful because when I'm looking at the emails, it's a lot easier to just focus just on the emails instead of all the unassigned time, because the unassigned time also pulls in the things from the website, uploads the clusterfuck file, emails or tasks that have been done that automatically get accounted for as well. So that's a much larger view. So when I'm just focusing on the emails that are coming in, then this is the easiest view for me to look at. If each client gets their own base, is there a way to pull together all outstanding tasks? The answer is yes, but I actually don't do it that way. So I don't put the tasks on the client boards. I put them across here. So all of the tasks belonging to all of the cases are on my task board. So when I go to the interface, it can pull in this data and it will show all of the tasks that have been completed because I'm associating it with the name, which is here. So you can in the interface view all the tasks, but I just think it's easier to just have it in one board and then view it versus the other way around. Because otherwise, anytime I wanted to do a task, assign a task, I'd have to go to that client's board and do it. And I don't want to do that. So this is much easier. One other thing I'll show you is, okay, I'll click on this. So Robin just sent me an email and I'll click task to me and hopefully it will work. Yep, it's working. So it will, yep, there it is. So there's the task that I just assigned from email. So this is really great for when I am just looking at emails and I don't feel like dealing with it. My paralegal needs to deal with it. I just click that button. So I just did red and blue because that's where we are politically. It was easy to remember. So I'm blue, she's red. So I click on blue and that's me. And that goes into my task list. If I click on red, that's her. And that goes into her task list. And she can just immediately see what she needs to do. And there's also a link to actually go to the direct email. It only pulls in the first, I want to say 5 sentences, but it's enough so she knows exactly where she needs to go. So the apply.io integration has been really, really great. It also lets me immediately save stuff to Google Drive. There's a bunch of other stuff that Plio can do. Yeah, the Gmail sync just blew my mind. So when I did the demo with Lauren Nelson, I knew nothing about it. And I didn't know anything about how to sort of stitch this together, but the apply.io has really made a difference because I don't have to forward emails to her. I just hit the task button. You can also, You can also bill, I believe, for each email. I don't think I have that on there because I just don't want to. But you could integrate Ply.io for each email where it automatically would bill from here. I just do it a little differently because I'm having it pulled into that emails board, and then I'm sorting through it, and I'm doing it that way. So Damien said, how do you deal with the 50,000 records limitation? Yeah, that was a buzzkill. So what he's referring to is Airtable only allows 50,000 records per sync. So for example, this is the lawyer on the beach folder. There's not 50,000 records in there, so it wasn't a problem. But it was a problem because I was trying to actually get all of my client files into one sync, and that just wasn't going to happen. So I just basically break it out. So on each client's board, I have their specific file synced. And I've also learned that anywhere over, if you get over 10, it really starts to slow it down. So I've actually separated it out further where I do discovery in a completely separate folder, and I sync that as well. So in the client board, I'm looking at all the pleadings, the correspondence, administrative, basically everything except discovery on one sync, and then the other sync is for discovery. So that's how I dealt with it. I don't love it, but it's definitely better than anything else that I've seen in terms of just being able to visualize all of your data in all of your folders simultaneously. I don't know of anything else that kind of allows me to do it, and just to click on it from there, and yeah, I don't know of any other program that's allowing you to really do that. Are there any other questions? Well, let me go back. How often do you go through your email to ensure they are organized? I go through it fairly often, mostly just to ignore them. My paralegal also goes through them. She has access to all my email. So she will often do the same things that I'm doing in terms of accounting for it in Airtable, and then also going through it in Google Workspace. And then anything that we don't need to deal with, we just get it out of the main view. And anything I do need to deal with, she just leaves it in the main view. So I do it several times a day. She's also doing it several times a day. I probably could do it less than that, but if I don't have anything else going on, I just do it. Contacts. Amy's asking me, is there a contacts tab that you can link? Yes, is a very short answer, but pretty much you can create anything. So I do have a contacts tab that is pulled into the EFL status. There's no way for me to really get to that because it has all the clients' names on there. But I thought I had a data with all the judges in it, but maybe not. A data board. I do not. But yes, so pretty much anything that you want to create, you can. So you can very easily have the data pulled onto an interface to show the cases by county, by judge. Anything that you create a column for, it can be pulled out in the data. Lee says, where do you keep notes about the clients when they call with information about the case? Where do you keep that? Okay, Amy asked to show the first screen again. You're gonna have to be more specific and tell me which screen. Where do you keep notes about the client? So in the client data board, I do a little bit of that in the issues and evidence needed. So if a client calls and if there's like a thread, like for example, if in general the other party is always late dropping the kid off, and like that's a recurring theme, I'll create that as a quote unquote issue in here. And then I'll create all the links and the evidence that sort of attach to that issue. But in terms of like a running sort of diarrhea of what's going on with the client's case, that all happens in the client's portal. So I use Clinked as a portal. So there are 4 different videos on the YouTube channel about how I use Clinked. It was done in 2019, so there's been a ton of updates since then. And I'm on the forever plan, so I don't ever have to pay again. So I'm probably never gonna not use Clinked unless they explode. But that's sort of where we deal with that. So we have a notes tab in the portal, and the client can constantly update it of sort of what's going on. Sometimes with the clients that I know will be posting way too much stuff to the portal, I just give them a Google Doc, and they just put everything in the Google Doc. So it's just in one document, but I don't really keep track of that stuff within this system. When it comes time for trial, we pull the notes from Clinked and then we put it in here in just kind of a short synthesized format. Otherwise it would be a lot. This family law clients have a lot. Why do I use Clinked rather than the Lawmatics portal? Because the Clinked portal, quite frankly, blows Lawmatics away. Lawmatics is really just trying to enter now the practice management space. They're really, really good at CRM, and that's what I use them for. But I'll stop sharing my screen, and then I'm going to go to the template in Clinked so you can see what I'm talking about. It just has a lot more capability than Lawmatics has, and more capability than I think that they're likely to have in the future. And also, I'm not paying for it, so there's zero incentive for me to switch. Let's see. Share. So this is the Clinked portal. So this is the template. This is an announcement that anytime I want to sort of broadcast an announcement to everybody, it stays there on the portal. And I love this because people do not bother me when I'm on vacation because they have been warned in advance. It's on their portal. It's in my email signature. It's in my auto reply. It's there. But the homepage of the portal has the link to my client guide. This is the Airtable from the template. So if this were the client, they would be seeing their update in this section right here. And then I also have, it explains the folder structure. It explains navigating the portal. This is also a link to my my vacation schedule, which is on Google Drive, but instead of having to update each client, I just embed it in the homepage and it's there. But my communication policy, this also has a running sort of diary of everything that happens. So I do like this because it's automatic. So if any client updates any sort of note, sends me a note, it's all here in the dashboard. And it's on the dashboard on the homepage of each client. And it's also on the dashboard of the main dashboard. I can't go to the main dashboards because I show you everything, but that's where I go. So I can just easily scan it and see if there's anything that I need responding to. So it's actually, quite frankly, a lot easier than email because it's not all stuff coming in. It's just there for me to view. And then since anybody in my firm can jump in and respond, it's usually I'm responding like 1% of the time. Usually my staff is doing it. So that's the portal I use. It is far and above what Lawmatics does. Also, when we upload documents, it allows clients to approve it. We send it to them as approval. They actually check it as approval. So it's just honestly easier than emailing a client and saying, hey, I need you to approve this document. And they email you back and you're not even really sure it's an approval because they asked you a couple questions. This is very clear. Once you have approved the final version, they click the thing and it's just recorded. So it's really good for CYA. So Clinked is a fantastic portal. I was using it when I was paying $250 a month for it, and I was happy to do so. But then I got the lifetime deal in 2019 for $300, and I've been using it for free ever since. So I'm not changing. I see any other questions. Oh, how much is Airtable? Good question. It's not a lot. I'm going to look it up, but I really don't know. It's definitely less than a traditional practice management system. I want to say $20 a month per user. Let me see. And it depends on the plan also. So there's a free version. So I initially started with the free version, and just like any other program, you love it so much, you end up paying more. So I'm on the Pro, which is $20 per user per month, which I'm fairly certain is less than all the practice management systems. So a lot of people could get away with just the Plus, which is $10 per seat per user. But I'm paying $20 because I only have 2 people. So Amy asked to show the timeline. What is the timeline? Amy, you're gonna have to be more specific if you want to jump on and ask me. I don't know what the timeline you're referring to. Yeah, Airtable is very, very cheap. Yes, I do have automations, not as many. Someone asked if I have automations set up like I did in Monday. I do, but not as many because I find it's not really that necessary. So the best automation is basically them informing that there is an update about their case. I think I have a couple other, so a couple others are once I update when I'm sort of coding what should happen with particular files, like you need to send it to the client, you need to upload it to their portal. it automatically bills for me having reviewed it at point 2. So that is a pretty healthy automation that is constantly keeping track of stuff, because there's almost nothing that we do that doesn't have a document behind it. So I don't have to go in and say, I reviewed the settlement agreement, I sent it to the client. It's automatically done it. Matthew's asking what I do for invoicing. I just send them the link. I really don't invoice in some flat fee. So I would say 90% of my cases settle. So they just pay up front, and the majority of my fee structure is a certain amount. It's usually around anywhere between 10 and 20,000 to get through mediation. So if I settle a mediation, I'm done. So I just don't have to invoice them. Other than that, at mediation, we have the conversation. If they want to continue through trial, this is my fee, and I just send them the payment link and then they pay. So I don't really do anything fancy. I use Gravity now instead of LawPay, because LawPay was doing something funky with the fees. Yes, Clinked is quite pricey, I'm not gonna lie, but I'm telling you, I thought it was worth it when I was paying $250 a month. I would have happily kept paying it, but AppSumo came up with the lifetime deal, and I just jumped on that thing like a wild boar. Did I build this out myself, or did I hire someone? I inputted all of the data myself. So the dashboards and the interfaces, I did hire somebody. I can put his name in the link. He's really good. He's in the Philippines, so I think he's opposite time as we are, but he'll just jump on your computer, you share your screen so you can watch and see what he's doing. But he had that sucker done in like 15 minutes. I was impressed because he was charging me an hour, and I feel like he could have done it a lot slower and charged me more money. So the native Google Drive, you use Ignite. I think Ignite might be coming. I think I've seen it somewhere. It's sort of on the horizon. And I was using Ignite, and I switched to Google Workspace solely for the purpose of this once I saw the Google Drive. And I'll see if I can show you how to set that up. Demo.
When you get that open, can you please go back to, after this question, to the Airtable? Because I thought I saw a timeline link.
Okay. You probably did, and I probably just called it something else, but let's see, which section do I want to go to? Okay, so if I want to sync something, what do I do? Okay, yeah, you just go to add or import, and then you hit source. And then these are all of the things that you can sync it with. So it's got a lot: Trello, Access, Outlook, Excel. So I would just go to my Google Drive and select the folder, and it would all just immediately sync. And it's pretty much in real time. So anytime anything changes on the Google Drive, which is what I use, it automatically syncs in here. I do have my Google Calendar synced in here as well, because then you can just add it to the client's, add the client's name to it. And then on that big sort of dashboard that has all of the information about the client, then all of their, court dates and stuff comes up there as well. So these are all of the things that you can add to a table automatically, and it'll sync for you. So let me see if this will switch. Okay, so
Regina, it's there. If you go over to the left and see the word create, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 down is timeline. The 6th.
Oh, that. Okay. What does that look like? I honestly don't know what that looks like. So we're going to find out together. I think it has to be something that has a lot of dates on it. So what would have dates? Let me find something with some dates, and then I'll show you. For some reason, my brain doesn't really like the way a timeline looks, so I've never used it for that. But I'll go to client payments because that has a lot of dates. View. I guess I'm trying to figure out what sort of data I can make it, or I can make it look pretty. It's not really doing that for me. Hold on a second. So I'm on timeline. So if I create a new view, payment date. Yeah, I probably didn't pick a good thing to use for that. Yeah, so short answer, I don't know, but Airtable has a really good video library. So I'm sure someone's done a timeline on there, and just, yeah, look for that. It's just not something that I've used. And I've looked at Kanban and Gantt, and I can't get it to work with my brain. It does. I thought it synced to Dropbox. It doesn't. I thought I saw Dropbox in there. Maybe not. It drops to Box. I mean, it syncs to Box. Yeah, that's weird that Dropbox is not an option. It does not. So I just kind of fixed that problem by just switching over to Google Drive, but it is weird that they would sync with Box, but not Dropbox. So what I did is I left a lot of things on Ignite, like my closed files, everything except my active files. And I just moved my active files over to Google Workspace just for the sole purpose of using Airtable, because it was just that good that I needed to switch in order to do that. But there's probably a workaround. You probably could sync Dropbox to Google Drive or to something else, and then sync Google Drive to here. But let me see if there are any more questions. Oh, yeah, having a timeline. I'm fairly certain that you could do a timeline in terms of just kind of have a chart on Airtable that says, you know, basically different date of incidents of, you know, going to the doctor, medical records, all of that stuff. And then, yeah, it'll map it out on a timeline. But people have tried to do that in family law, and I just don't find it to be that helpful. I don't, because most of the judges really don't give a shit. They're like, what's going on right now? How much money do you have? Like, who's best to take care of the kids right now? So like a timeline of like what happened over the course of the marriage back to the Reagan administration doesn't really help me. So I just never really kind of focused on timelines. But in other cases like PI, I could see that. If you have a court date for a client, where are you adding it on Airtable? So I'm not adding it on Airtable. I'm adding it on Google Calendar, which syncs into Airtable. So I don't really rely on Airtable for dates. I kind of live by my Google Calendar, but it is synced into Airtable. And how are you getting those dates into claims? That is manual. There probably is a way I could zap it in there. I don't know. When it comes to court dates, I don't like to rely on automations, and it's not that hard. So my paralegal just puts the court date in there, links it to the actual real nice eye, and that's how we do it. But that is a manual thing. Anybody else have any questions? I think I answered everybody's questions. All right. Well, if you don't have any questions, I think that's it. The recording will, I know I talk really fast, so that's why I'm like, I don't care, I'm recording it. Just go back and watch it at like 0.75. You'll be fine. But if you have any questions, feel free to message me in the group or email me. And that's it. Thanks so much. Bye. Have a good day.